Hello and welcome to the Next 100 Days podcast. My name is Graham Arrowsmith.
And my name's Kevin Appleby. And Graham, we've got a guest from Bulgaria this morning. And before we got anywhere, we were talking football and Tottenham Hotspur, Newcastle United, and he was sympathising about the bad fortunes of Leeds. Yeah, I think we can have an interesting conversation this morning. I'm sure the podcast isn't actually about football.
We're lying third in the championship, and we have a Bulgarian international playing for us. So Ilya Gruev, and we're very pleased that he does. But moving back to the topic at hand, Tanyo Gochev, he hails from Sofia in Bulgaria. Tanyo, welcome to the Next 100 Days podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad I'm here.
We were just discussing before the show kicked off that you've made a couple of changes in your career. Tell us where you're up to right now, Tanyo.
Yeah, for sure. So I think I started this month, launched my own email marketing agency. Basically, what we do is we write, edit, and manage email lists, and we help financial companies increase their engagement and sales with email marketing. Right now, we have one client, and I'm looking to scale to get to maybe 3 to 5, and then I will stop prospecting. I will get my house in order in terms of hiring people and improving operations, and then it's up from there, right?
Okay, so you mentioned a financial company. Tell us a little bit. You don't have to tell us a particular client name, but basically tell us a little bit about what you're doing, how you're helping them, and why they're pleased with you.
Yeah, sure. So right now with the company we work, it's like a media company for the financial space, and we just create content for them, consult them on the different ways to improve their open rates, engagement, and even conversion rates on the landing pages. Because like before I started the agency, I had like a daily and then weekly newsletter. So I'm familiar with the space in terms of creating the content, editing, managing email lists, things of that nature. So
right. And the email lists that you're actually helping improve, where does that data come from? Is it from their own subscriber bases, or is it collected in different ways?
Well, they use their own like an email provider. They use Beehive, and I have access to their account, so I can see all of the data and I can see how different posts perform and things of that nature.
Right, I understand. Okay, so and so from a financial company's point of view, what you do is you intervene, you create content, they get better engagement, they better open rates, better click-throughs, more money ultimately. And that's the reason that they pay a retainer to you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because like I said, I had like a daily newsletter, and I found that it's really challenging to do both the content for the newsletter and grow at the same time. So it's easy to find someone in-house who can do the work, basically, like create the content, focus on the email list itself, while other people take care of the growth.
I'm with you. I see. It is quite challenging, isn't it? I mean, we all know what it's like when we're trying to create content to promote our own businesses, but then actually work on client stuff. The client stuff comes first, so it's difficult to get that balance. I suppose up to a point, Tanyo, that AI might actually help you a little bit to cut the time in terms of creating content. Have you found that that's the case?
Yeah. So up to a month ago, I was in the camp that actually using AI is bad, because if you lack domain expertise, it can very easily lie to you. But since the launch of, I don't know if you saw that OpenAI launched Chat GPT 4, and you can create your own custom GPTs. Well, I paid for the paid version, and it's just awesome. I use it all the time to do research, to get advice on different stuff, because basically what I did is create different GPTs, and for the different GPTs you can upload files in them. So let's say I like Alex Hormozzi's books. I just uploaded them, and I uh, configured the GPT to tell me advice based on those books. And it's really useful because it's basically you're having a conversation with someone, and it's really good in terms of.
So go back to how you started this, because I'm sure Kevin and I are both very interested in how you've done that. I certainly am. So if you don't mind sharing the sort of step by step in terms of creating your own versions of Chat GPT. Oh, it's not Chat GPT, is it? It's GPT.
You create your own GPTs, yeah. So
Right.
basically, you have to buy the paid version, which is $20 a month, I think.
Okay.
But I think because of the shenanigans right now at OpenAI, they paused it like 2 weeks ago. I don't think they're allowing new people right now because of bandwidth issues.
Right.
But once you pay, you see on the left corner of ChatGPT, you see a button that says Explore. You press it, and at the center of your screen, you see Create Custom GPT. And then it will open another chat where you're basically having a conversation with the custom GPT. And you see at the center of that, the new chat that popped, you can see Configure. And there you give basically the new GPT instructions on how to tell you information. So, for example, you just say, "Hey, I want you to take insights from the files I uploaded in you and give me information that's concise, easy to understand, and practical and insightful." And if you scroll down, you can upload different files, like you can upload PDFs, EPUB, mobile files, different types of files. And I think the amount of data you can put in one GPT is up to 300 pages, like worth of book. Uh, it's based on indexes or something like that, but I think the amount of data it's equivalent to 300 pages worth of books. So you do that, you upload the file, you uh, put the settings on how to give you the information, then you return back to the chat and just ask it, "Hey, do you need more information or are you good to go?" And it will ask you for maybe a couple more instructions. And then based on that, your chat at the right side of the screen is ready and you can just chat with it. And at the top right corner, you have a few options, like you can save it just for yourself. You can save it and have a link that you can share with other people. Or the big one is just have it free for everyone. So there's right now, I think there is a ChatGPT store, like where similar to the App Store, where there are a bunch of apps that you can find. So it's all up to you, but you can do a lot of stuff like based on your needs.
So,
Wow.
that sounds quite a simple and straightforward process.
Yeah, it's quite easy.
The thing that's going to be the issue there is, where do you get the 300 pages from that you are going to upload in the first place? And most books are physical paper, or the electronic version is such that you can't easily just export the text from it. And I guess there are copyright issues as well if you do try exporting the text. So where do you get that initial 300 pages or whatever it is from?
Well, you can just like buy the digital versions and just upload it, because I have like a Kindle that I use to read, and all of the books there are like digital, so they're either PDFs or things of that nature, and just you can upload them there. But it doesn't have to be books. Like you can basically, if you are interested in some CEO's work and advice, you can basically find a few of his talks, create a transcript based on them, and just upload the transcript. It doesn't have to be books. It's just different files that they can read.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So where does the copywriter skill come into this? You've got something coming out of ChatGPT based on some very specific information. You know it's going to be accurate. So how much then are you going to intervene on top of that with copywriting skills to get it right?
Yeah, it's still like, if you see the text in terms of And just to be clear, I use ChatGPT in terms of my work for research. So basically, I ask it questions and it gives me information and data. But the skill comes to, because the text that's generated is very like not human, like it's easy to detect. If you have
Yeah.
spent any time on LinkedIn or any of those places, you see actually a lot of the chat GPT generated comments and you can
Yeah.
spot them right away. So the skill is basically just take the raw information and turn it into something that's easy digestible and has a story and a human voice. So it's not, at least in my opinion, it's not that different, because before we used Google to do research. Now we use ChatGPT, but I look at it that way. It's just a one place that can help you find all the information you need to create the content or the emails or whatever you need.
Yeah,
Mm.
before Google, we used books from libraries, but that you might not have been born then, Tanyo.
Oh, yeah,
So,
probably not. Yeah.
but it's the
Exactly.
same idea, isn't it, Kevin? In a sense that because what we're doing here is that you're using using the capability of AI to disseminate the kind of um, the key points that you'd want to communicate, and then you use your copywriting skills to produce better content for your client.
Yeah, exactly right. It's just a better search engine, and it's great to find relevant information.
Yeah.
You've had a couple of copywriting posts in your career. Tell us a little bit about the sort of the copywriting skills that you've learned over the time that you spent there.
Oh, well, one of the things that I learned is just that, like, I worked with a few agencies, and there is just hustle and grinding in terms of a lot of like copywriters and artists and things of that nature will just be lazy as fuck. So
Yeah,
and just procrastinate. But when you work at an agency and things of that nature, you learn to produce work a lot faster, and that way you become a lot better. So I learned the discipline. I learned how to write in different formats like emails, landing pages, ads, and articles and things of that nature, and that helped me basically navigate and learn what I like in terms of creating content and what types of content I like creating, and also help me like have more empathy around different people, because your job as a copywriter is to put yourself in different people's shoes, understand their problems and issues, and communicate with them that your product is the solution to them. So
Yeah.
uh, it's all of those things.
Hmm. Well, you progress. You've built on the copywriting skills. You've got email marketing skills. Are there things about email marketing that you're particularly you'd want to share with clients to attract them to email marketing? Is there something about email marketing that's it's an absolute must for certain clients?
Yeah, for sure. And just based on my experience, because I was also doing stand-up comedy and things of that nature, which may sound like kind of different, but I realized at one point that all the things I did, which were either creating an email newsletter, being interested in stand-up, or creating my own podcast, things of that nature that I have thought about, all of them are based on one thing, which is having a direct relationship with your audience, which is essential, because like uh, all the different social media platforms might be great to go viral and to reach new audience, but it's you're basically a slave to the algorithm in some sense, because you just have to, in some sense, the medium is the message, so you have to tailor your message for the medium, and like tomorrow someone will make changes to the algorithm and you lose your reach. Well, with email marketing, you have that direct relationship, and you can be certain that if you have 10,000 subscribers and you send an email tomorrow, 10,000 people will get the email, and it's a lot more consistent and better, and you have a lot more control in terms of owning your list, sending different offers, testing, like creating a conversation with your readers. So that's why I enjoy email marketing.
And you built your email list in a particular way. Tell us how you've done that.
Oh, like building an email list is not an easy thing because I don't have like an audience on a social media platform, and I don't have a budget for advertising. So it's just posting a lot of content, reaching to people one on one, and yeah, doing that consistently. And it takes time. Uh, I have seen a lot of people claiming that it's easy to do to grow a list, but most of these people either already had an audience or had a budget to spend on advertising. Because organically it's very difficult because, as you know, the different social media platforms make your posts like basically break your reach if you post links on them, and that makes it a lot harder. So, yeah, just putting up content consistently and writing it, and that's it.
Well, what I'm interested in is you. I mean, what would your best friend say you're like?
My best friends, I would say, well, they say that I'm honest, maybe a little bit stubborn, a little bit too much. Uh, and I hope they find me funny. I think these are the
Well, if you're a
qualities.
stand-up comedian and you're not funny, then you're not going to have a long career, are you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not doing stand-up, but I'm planning to do so in the future. But yeah, it's one of those things that I'm really interested in.
Well,
Yeah.
Kevin tried it in the chief financial officer space as a stand-up, haven't you, Kevin? So, have you
That's
heard the latest one about the balance sheet? He's that kind of, it's doesn't quite work really, does it?
Yeah.
that's not. But Tanyo, we are the next 100 days podcast. And what interests me in terms of that kind of next 100 days is that you're in a pivot at the moment. So kind of talk us through that period from deciding that you needed to pivot to what you've done so far, or in total in the rest of the 100 days, to make that pivot happen.
Yeah, so basically, I just I have watched like a lot of different YouTube videos, business podcasts, and all of that stuff. And I have been in the business space for a while now, and I just looked at the different. It all started with the type of life I wanted to live, and going back from there. And I was just wondering of the different business models that enable me to do that, and which one I have the highest likelihood of executing based on my skills. And that's why I created the agency, because I worked at a few agencies, and I have started one before, so I'm familiar with that space. And in terms of pivoting, it's just creating content around the new niche, just cold outreach to different people that are my target.
And just picking up on that, if your target audience
Yeah.
and you wanting to serve them, given that you've got sort of one client right now and you're looking for maybe another four, let's just help you a little bit by actually saying, okay, what is it about them that you want to define? So what type of audience are they? Going to be more financial people? Is that what you're looking for, or what?
Yeah, just either CMOs or marketing managers in financial companies, because they are the ones that are responsible for the email marketing and stuff like that.
Okay. And what do you know about their, the problems that they face? Because I mean, presumably they're quite busy individuals. Do they all have the skills that you've got?
No, most certainly they don't, because like a CMO role, it's a lot more encompassing and needs to involve all parts of marketing. And their problems are just it's hard to create consistent content for email. It's hard to keep that relationship and to test different offers and to make sales. And sometimes you look at the stats and you see like your engagement dropping, your open rates dropping, and things of that nature, and you just can't figure out why. And at that point, someone like me comes along and just gives you an overview of what to do next. But yeah, it's quite challenging because email is it's only one of your channels, but at the same time, at least for me, it's one of the most important ones.
So if you were to have imagine a big headline that says, have in the last 6 months, has your email engagement levels dropped? Now, if somebody then said, yeah, that's me, then basically you've got a conversation. So first, the pre-headline is, are you a marketing manager in a financial company? And then you've got this headline, then you've got a box that says yes. So you've kind of got the right audience. You've kind of got their pain point that you've got a solution to. What do you do next?
Well, then we hop on a quick call where I basically do like a free audit of their email newsletter and just give them a few tips and ideas that they can just implement right away, like improving the welcome email, their landing pages, things of that nature. And based on that, if they're interested in going further, we sign a contract and go from there. But yeah, just give them some tips that they can execute right away and it will give them results.
I mean, Kevin's quite good with Bulgarian, but I don't speak a word. But I mean, Kevin's fluent, so you ask him whatever you want in Bulgarian. But are your clients likely to come from Bulgaria, or are they going to be pretty much anywhere in the world?
No, I'm focused on international clients like US, UK, Singapore, things of that nature.
That's one of the interesting things about fintechs. And via Grow CFO, we've got fintechs approaching us all the time. We've got quite a few folk from fintech come along and are guests on my other podcast.
Yeah.
But the international nature of fintech is the thing that surprised me. Yes, there are the obvious group of them that are in Silicon Valley, but recently I've had a couple of companies based in Israel. Had a very interesting off-air discussion with one of them about the political and the war situation going on out there. But yeah, and I think fintech is a very interesting space at the moment because there are so many companies, and the only way any of them are really going to get traction is by being absolutely global. So I think, and I've spoken to a few people on this, and there's a common feeling that there's probably going to be a fallout in the marketplace, a reduction in the number of big players, some sort of consolidation. And the only way to succeed is to be truly global.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like I used in the past Revolut, which like I used it before it got big, but I think it's from the UK. And like there are a lot of these fintech companies that get very big very quickly. But yeah, it's very competitive because uh, I think in the European Union right now, you can send payments from banks and they get their money instantly. So like banks are also catching up.
Yes.
This whole idea of fintech, what if you had to describe the kind of companies that are in? Kevin, you can maybe help us out on this one, but is that just the way in which financial systems operate for companies? Technically, I'm not quite sure what you would define as a fintech company.
Well, at least the way I think about it is on the front end, you have like a cool app and like that's very well designed. But on the back end, you have like custodians and banks that take care of it. So, for example, I think this is the case for Robinhood and Revolut as well. basically they don't store your money. Like when you have money in Revolut, a third party bank, I think, or something like that stores your money, and just the front end is the application and the different mm, projects you have there.
Yeah, I'm certainly aware of one investment opportunity that I'm looking at that does exactly that. So basically, it's just a way of de-risking it from your own point of view, that somebody doesn't just take your money and run away with it. So you have a custodian bank that's trusted with your money. You could still lose your money if it's an investment, but of course it's it's not going to be because the banks run off with it or the intermediaries run off with it. So that's definitely one aspect of fintech then. So if you again, you were going into this idea of actually how you would help somebody. Is there I mean, I've been looking at what makes email marketing successful, and it's funny that you started off with exactly the first thing that they did, which was know your audience. And I think that one of the things that they talk about is this is a company that I'm dealing with, which is called MailerLite, which you might have heard of. But basically, they talk about know your audience, act fast, be relevant, adjust email tone, stick to facts, segment subscribers, automations, landing pages, forms, A/B testing, and monitor email metrics. Above all, think long term. But these are the sorts of what on earth should we do about email marketing? I'll put a link to this as well in the show notes. But basically, they talk about those sorts of things to try and understand how to get more out of email marketing. Is there any of that you kind of resonate with?
Yeah, for sure. Like one thing I would add is just clean your list regularly, because like that's the thing that will just skyrocket your engagement. So for example, in my own list, like I got out of nowhere like 200, 300 subscribers, but over time my engagement rates like open rates, CTRs went down. I just couldn't figure it out, and I just segmented my audience, and I saw that most of those people never open an actual email. So I just basically removed them from my list. And while the subscribers went down as a number, the more relevant metrics like open rates and CTRs went up. So it's really important to constantly clean your list and remove it from people who aren't interested, because like the number of subscribers of a email list is a vanity metric for me. So it's more about what you can do with the subscribers you have and who are there, and being very specific, because I know quite a few copywriters that don't have like huge email lists, but they can generate 6 to 7 figures just from them, because the audience is very specific, they're very engaged, and they buy high ticket services from them.
Well, I mean, well said. I mean, that's exactly the right approach, isn't it? And actually, it's not something that these guys have particularly picked. Well, I suppose under their be relevant, then basically, you could argue that they are saying, well, reduce the noise by taking out people, etc. There's no reason to write to people who are not interested in you. So that's the kind of
there are a couple of very practical reasons as well you need to clean your list. Well, I can think of three. Number one, if you read the GDPR regulations quite clearly, they tell you that you should be taking out people that are no longer interested. Number two is most email providers will charge you by the number of subscribers you've got. So why have a list of 5,000 people and 5,000 is the threshold to the next payment level when only 3,000 of them are actually engaged? Get rid of the 2,000, never open an email, because you're wasting your money sending them to them.
Yeah.
Third one is that providers will occasionally start looking at overall open rates and say, hang on, these stats in this particular email account, sending a lot of emails out, getting very low open rates. This looks like an account that could be spamming people. Let's investigate more closely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, one thing here that is in their article talks about avoid sharing your opinions. I don't know if I could ever do that, Kevin. I mean, it would be almost like, what's happened, who's invaded his body,
Yeah.
and it, and I think they all I think it's a corporate thing that, "Oh, please don't come off the fence." I mean, at the end of the day, if you're talking about the current situation in the Middle East, then, I'm not going to do it, but I can tell you exactly which side of the fence I'm on and for what reason. But there are there are things that you might want to share. And, other people say that you should have opinions, you should have a view to make you different. Because at the end of the day, you are a brand in your own right, and you're going to repel some people who are never going to deal with you. I'm going to attract a lot more, probably, who might.
Yeah. It all depends on the format you use for your email. So, for example, there are quite a few like media companies which are focused more on curation. So they basically find the best stories and just summarize them. I don't like that approach particularly because it's easy to start, but it's hard to grow because, as you said, you don't have like a point of view. You're just summarizing news, and there are like 10,000 different email lists that do pretty much the same. So it's hard to stand out. I like opinionated stuff, but I like opinionated stuff that's based on your own expertise. So, for example, I have seen quite a few like business folks just start discussing things that are outside of their scope of expertise, and it's quite funny how they say things very confidently, but if you look at the statements, they aren't true and they just look stupid. So just stick to what you know if you're going to do opinion based stuff.
Well,
I think that's right. And I
hmm.
think you need to have an opinion in the area that you claim to be a subject matter expert. Where
Yeah,
you
exactly.
an influencer, you need to have an opinion. You'll have loads of opinions outside of that. And I know Graham has got very many opinions about American politics, but talking about those in an email that's going to fintechs or something like that is probably just totally irrelevant. And
Yeah, I don't know about that, Kevin. I think up to a point, if you're doing they call it a newsletter, don't they? But it's a letter. You're writing a letter to an audience that knows.
Yeah.
And if it was 100% content, if you like, 100% sort of about, I don't know, the world of fintech, then I promise you, your newsletter or your letter wouldn't be read maybe 2 or 3 times down the line. The engagement, the stickiness will come from them having faith in you, having an interest in you, and you're going to be, even though you're providing great content, I'd rather provide, I don't know, for the sake of argument, 75% sort of, detail about the market and about what to do about fintech this and fintech that, but then have other things that actually interest them and make them interested in you as the provider. Now, that might be your opinions about various things, but it might be the fact that you like walking your dog twice a day, Kevin, and that you're interested in this, that, and the other. And yesterday, I bought myself what they call a squirrel baffle. Now, there you are. There's a breaking news. Squirrels were eating the bird's nuts, so I've got a baffle. And if you don't know what a baffle is, it's like a half of a football in perspex. So it forms a dome, and I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Where the squirrels come over and think, "What's this?" and then they fall to the floor. That's the mean side of me, but it makes me different from the next guy.
If those are grey squirrels, I'm going to be very opinionated. They should all be.
Oh no, I've got to say I do love the red squirrel. I mean, if they came for the nuts,
we're actively encouraging red squirrels at the moment because we have, for the first time in 20 years, actually had red squirrels in the garden.
Wow, that is superb. I mean, honestly, I've nowhere near. They're all grey. They're like furry rats, but by and by, I know a lot of people like them because they look, but
There you are. There's
they're
Kevin's
vermin.
controversial opinion for this morning.
Well, you see,
Next
but you
world
see,
should
all of a sudden you've got an idea of the person, haven't you, Tanya? Because you will have opinions about various things,
Yeah, yeah,
and up to a point, people might know you for those opinions, but they'll also respect the content that you're delivering. I think.
yeah. It it really depends on how your brand is set up. So, for example, if you have your own personal newsletter and that's the point of it, I think it makes sense to just make it personality driven and based on your own interests and stuff of that nature. But if you're a company that just, for example, I know that Robinhood have their own email newsletter that's basically summarizes the different news in the financial space and things of that nature. I don't see a point in them like creating like having a huge opinion for on Donald Trump, for example, that's not really relevant to their audience. It really depends on the way your brand is set up. I know this brand, Black Rifle Coffee, it's called, and it's they will never say it, but it's geared towards gun-loving Republicans, and you can see it in the name. So having opinionated content for them makes a ton of sense because that's kind of the point of the brand and the appeal. But it really matters on your brand and how you're positioned. It really like it's cool to have opinions, but make them relevant to your audience, not just like having opinions for sake of having them.
Well, there you are. That's the top and bottom, probably the best bit of advice you're going to get. So, in addition to that, then, what if you were to advise our listeners about almost like best practice in your eyes when it comes to, improving their email marketing? What would they be? Maybe three ideas that you have.
Yeah, for sure. So as a start, and I have like I reviewed a ton of welcome emails of huge companies, and you'll be surprised how many of them get this wrong. So you need to have a welcome email that senders get pretty much immediately after they subscribe.
Yeah.
You need that to get some of the housekeeping stuff out of the way. So in the welcome email, you just set up the expectations of what they're going to get. You give them a few examples of the type of content they're going to get, and you urge them to do three things. Uh, Add your email to their contact list, reply to the welcome email with one word, so it's easier for them to reply, and yeah, add your email to the contact list, reply to the email, and you add like a gift you can find. If you Google move an email to the to the primary inbox gift, you'll find it. You can just embed that in the welcome email. That will show them how to do that. And you need them to do all these three steps because that will increase the likelihood of them getting your emails to the primary inbox, which is the best place they can get it because they will receive it directly. It won't go in the promotions tab, and it's harder to find there. So that's one. To just set up a welcome email that explains the importance of that, gives them um, different types of content they're going to get. The second thing is on the welcome email itself, just to focus on the subject line, because I have seen a lot of brands being lazy with that. They'll just say, welcome to X, Y, and Z brand, which is a
Yeah.
subject line that doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't encourage me to open it. But if you say, here's what you can expect from us or things of that nature, it's a lot more encouraging for people to open the welcome email and actually follow through with the different steps. And the third thing is just constantly clean up your list and segmenting your audience. You need to, if your list is big, you need to have different segments and create maybe specific content towards them based on their interests and things of that nature. And if you clean your list regularly, you keep it fresh and you keep it full of folks that are actually interested in you.
Well, there are three really good things for people to do. I mean, first of all, Tanya, your English is really good. I mean, you're from Bulgaria, in Sofia. That's the capital, isn't it, in Bulgaria?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Lovely city, apparently. One of my sons, I think youngest son's been to Bulgaria and stayed in Sofia. And I have to say, your English is fantastic. Where did you learn English? Was it at school or just in other ways?
Yeah, at school I was pretty bad at English, but I have been doing this since I'm 25 now, but I have been in the space since I was 16, 17, like doing different hustles online. And I have listened and watched a lot of movies in English, and that helped me. Like I'm really immersed in the language. Like I watch English Premier League with
Oh,
UK.
but didn't you choose Tottenham?
Yeah. There's a cool story about that. So, my dad, when he was about my age, obviously we were doing communism, but he wrote a ton of letters to different football clubs, like saying he's a fan. He wrote to Ajax, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Tottenham. But Tottenham were the only club that actually responded to them, sent him a picture of the team with on autographs and things of that nature. So since then he became a fan. And when I was little, I was growing up, Berbatov was playing there, and he's Bulgarian, obviously. And just I became a fan for these two reasons because, and also the way they play, they have like very distinct style. So yeah.
They do. That's for sure. And actually, no, it's a good choice to be honest with you. I mean, and they're having pretty good season so far, and you never know that they might end up at the top of the pile this year. So we'll see. But you know, I don't know about you, Kevin, but Tanyo's quite an impressive young man. You are a young man at 25.
Tanyo, isn't it?
Oh, thank you.
I have a different view of him if it said Manchester United rather than Tottenham Hotspur. You'd be really doubting him if it said that.
They'd have sent your dad junk mail or something like that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, for sure.
But no. Seriously though, it's interesting that Tottenham took the time to actually respond to your dad, and that's a massive credit to them as a football club and as a company. And so, you know, what can I say? That's about as good as it's going to get from me about Tottenham. But you know, Kevin, you have any final questions before we let Tanyo go?
I think what we've seen today is a lot of information, Graham. I think we've seen some really, really good stuff. I think all I want to do at this point is wish Tanyo all the best in this 100-day transition from his past experiences into really establishing this new agency.
Well, I echo that. Tanyo, you've been an absolutely first-class guest today on the Next 100 Days podcast.
So, another interesting next 100 days story, Graham. A young man making a pivot, creating an agency, doing okay so far within his first 100 days, got his first client in that new niche.
Yeah.
Quite a story there.
Yeah, I mean, he's said the word himself. He's having a lot of hustles, if you like. He's been into hustling, and it's that kind of generation where they see themselves having to do that sort of thing to have that sort of the lifestyle that they want in life. So not everything's going to come off, but he's picking up on everything that he's done, so that he's building in copywriting, he's building in that type of skill, content, email marketing into something that he can actually help and advise others with.
Yeah, but I think that's true, that hustling is a big part of the start of any story, because you've got to try a few things, act on a few ideas, and see which ones start to work. And
yeah, I think the thing is, he'll get better and better at that the older he gets and the more clients he has. So he will find that he'll have a lot more experiences, a lot more to share with people, simply because he is developing, very, very good processes to help people improve the results they get. If you've got an email list and it's not producing for you, and you're still treating it as a singularity, if you like, a single any color as long as it's black sort of list, No, you've kind of got lots of shades of people in there with different interests. And one of the things that he said is segment. And he's absolutely right, because if you can get the right content to the right parts of the list, then the overall level of engagement is going to be higher. And it goes back to what you do, Kevin, with CFOs, etc., that you potentially will have some people who are at different levels or just interested in different things at that moment. Doesn't mean to say they don't have something in common, but they don't necessarily have something of interest now in common. And I think that's kind of where he's helping people, and hopefully he'll do very well.
Indeed. I wish him all the best.
Well, another great podcast, Kevin. I've been Graham Arrowsmith.
I've been Kevin Appleby. Goodbye.
Goodbye.